This is an SM Media production.
Hi there, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media East of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure, as always, to be your host. I'm delighted to welcome my guest in this week's episode. It's a pleasure to welcome the manager of the league leaders of the First Division. It's a pleasure to welcome manager of Newtongrange Star, Paul Milligan. Paul, welcome to the show, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be on.
It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to this. It's obviously always good to get somebody on when they're having a good start in the league and they're sitting top. So, first question I'll ask you is, Paul, it's obviously when you look at the table, very competitive. How good is it to be 19 games in and sitting top of the tree?
I'm not going to lie. It's a great feeling. It's been, a lot of hard work and has been put in mainly by the players, but by everybody at the club. So it's a great feeling, but we are conscious of the fact, that other teams have games in hand, and they can catch us up. But for now, we'll certainly take it. It's a good place to be right now.
Paul, the first thing that jumps out is obviously the start of the season you've had. You've obviously lost your first four games, 5-4 defeat in the opening day to St Andrews, 3-1 defeat at home to Heriot Watt, and then a 4-1 defeat away to Camelin. A 2-1 home win over Leith, kind of second game of the season. But how difficult was that start, and how much was it a kind of motivation to go on a really good run, which you did after the kind of 12th of August?
It was a really difficult start. It was a really testing time, to be fair. It was a newly put together squad, a lot of young players, their first taste of East of Scotland football. And I think if you're picking the fixtures, St Andrews and Camelin away are two of the ones that you would probably want to avoid in that opening spell. So I think we were competitive in the games. I mean, St Andrews, we had a man sent off at half-time at 2-2, and that did impact the game. And I think until the weekend with Leith, they'd only conceded, I think, 5 goals at home all season, including, in the cup games against Auckland, etc. So we done okay there, and same through it came in at 2-1. We got a man sent off. So there was a couple of bits and pieces within those games that weren't as straightforward as it sounds, but it was really testing, and we, there was points there where we really had to knuckle down and work hard as a group to get through that. I think hard work is the key to it all. People talk about tactics and all of that stuff, and it all has its part to play, but the players have worked incredibly hard to overcome that start.
Yeah, and there's kind of some big results in there I want to touch on as well. Obviously, the one that stands out when you look at the kind of way the fixtures have went is you obviously beaten Whitburn 4-1 at home in the 9th of December. What kind of is it like, obviously, against those kind of big sides when you're at a stage kind of midway through the season? You've obviously been quite fortunate in the regard that not many games have been called off, and you've been managed to kind of get games played, and you've got the points on the board. But that game against Whitburn, that's a big result when you look at it, and especially the kind of the goals you have been scoring as well. I mean, I think I'm right in saying you have scored in every game but one this season, and that's impressive.
Yes, we've scored a lot of goals, especially lately. I think if you look at the games lately, I think it's something like 5-4, 3-5, 4-6. So we're scoring a lot of goals, and the goals are being spread out. Previously, I felt certainly last season the team relied far too heavily on Chris Robertson up front. It was either he scored or we were really struggling. So that's pleasing. The Whitburn result. I think Whitburn were maybe toiling a wee bit at that point with injuries, so I try not to look too much into individual games, but as part of the overall run, I think, like you say, it's one league defeat away to Arniston in 15 games or something like that. So the overall run is the more important thing to be than the individual games. But I think that result against Whitburn, if there were any players in my dressing room who weren't quite sure of where we were at or what level we were at or what we could achieve, I think that sort of showed them that we're a very capable footballing side, and I think other teams maybe have looked at that and thought, well, actually, they're in with a shout.
What about the competitive nature of the league? Because there's obviously some really good sides in it, but is there any kind of sides that really impress you that you've come up against, and just how tough is it to come up against some really good sides?
It's a very competitive division. I mean, at the weekend you'll see Leaf, who were, I think, in the relegation zone before the games kicked off, beat St Andrews, who had won every game at home. That shows you. I mean, the team that impressed me most was probably Heriot Watt at our place, and they've been toiling a wee bit. They beat us 3-1. Now we weren't at it that day, but they were, and that proves how competitive it is. There's no easy games, and we've emphasised that to the players week in, week out. I think I've watched most teams now. Dunny Pace are obviously the ones who, I mean, it's in their hands now with the games in hand they have, and with the points they've got on the board. I think they're probably favourites, and they have one or two players there that are exceptional, and they're probably, I think, probably the best side I've seen this season in our division.
And you mentioned there an interesting point, and I think it's kind of relevant to the weekend as well. A lot of goals spread across the board, 5 different goal scorers on Saturday as well. You mentioned obviously just how important certain players are, but how good is it to have that kind of spread across when you're in a title run? Because you can rely. One of the big advantages of going for a title can be having a good squad, and how important is it if they're all firing and they're all able to kind of contribute?
It's hugely important. So early in the season, we went through a huge injury crisis. Other teams are now experiencing that, and at one point, I mean, that Arniston game, for example, we barely were able to put 11 bodies on the park. We had a couple who started who were no fit to be there, and other teams are experiencing that. We're through it now, and we've got virtually a full squad to pick from on Saturday. It's hugely important, but I think given the nature of the makeup of our squad, with a lot of young players, so on Saturday, for example, at full time, I think we had 7 or 8 players who are 21 or under finished that game on Saturday. The senior players, our captain Adam Nelson and Ryan Ferguson, Chris Robertson, Liam McCarthy, and others, not just them. They're vital, and the young boys are learning for them. They've been there, done it. And to keep them fit and to keep them available and have them on the park for us is really important. And the young boys are learning a lot of them every week, so it's really important. I think the balance of the squad is very good in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get your thoughts obviously on the game on Saturday and the run in at the end of the show. But I want to touch on with the action over the weekend. We obviously had another busy weekend. Not as many call-offs as I think I was certainly anticipating on Saturday morning when I seen the snow and sleet coming down. But I think a lot of games actually kind of went ahead, and I think we had some impressive results. We'll start on Friday night. Probably the big result in the Premier Division was Hutchie 1, Broxburn Athletic 2. Errol Douglas and Jason Jarvis were the goals for the league leaders. The results going their way means they're now 10 points clear. And Paul, I want to touch on Broxburn. Obviously, that is the 14th one in 17 games. And that win on Friday night will probably feel like the most important one.
Yes, absolutely. They're flying. I think they only lost one league game, I think, this season. Big Errol Douglas is scoring plenty of goals as well. He's a handful up there. So I think they're favourites. I've not actually seen Greenfield, but a lot of people have said they're a very good side. So you would expect they would run them close, but a huge win for them on Friday. I think a lot of teams would be hoping they would slip up on Friday night and open it up a wee bit, but they've given themselves a wee bit of breathing space now.
And Hutchie Vale, obviously another side who have been a really impressive one. I think they've won the last 6 in the game in the 21st October between Broxburn and Hutchie Vale finished 4-3 to Broxburn. Obviously the roles were reversed, but Hutchie Vale, despite obviously losing in Friday night, they'll be delighted to be sitting in 3rd place and been on that run, and they'll take a lot of encouragement again at the fact that they ran them close. And Broxburn, you said about Errol Douglas, he's capable of scoring goals, and they have a lot of really good strikers in their squad. But Hutchie Vale, I think they'll obviously be disappointed, but I think they'll be taking the positives for that, I would say.
Absolutely. I didn't think many people would have Hutchie third in the league at this stage. So credit to Ryan and the boys there for the job that they're doing. I think they keep improving all the time there. They seem to pick really talented young players from the youth setup they've got there and give them a chance, which is something that I'm big on, and it's great to see that. So to be up to third, they've played a couple of games more than one or two, but I think a top four finish for the guys would be brilliant for them.
Yeah, and obviously Gene Fields being having their game called off obviously at the weekend, they have I think 3 games in hand to make up on Broxburn, and they're sitting 12 points behind. So it could be interesting to see. Like I think there's a few sides still not out of this either, but I do think it'll be interesting to see how Broxburn can handle the next month or so, because I think that could be so important. They've got big games coming up as well. So I'm quite intrigued to see they go to Crossgates on Saturday in the league. So that could be a big interesting game for them. Musselburgh moved to second in the table. They won 4-2 at home to Haddington Athletic. Bit of an interesting game this. Haddington were ahead twice. They were 1-0 up and 2-1 up. But Jordan Smith scored a double for the hosts, and they now move second. And Musselburgh have been kind of going under the radar as well in that league.
Yes, they have. They've slowly moved up. They've got a game in hand, I think, as well. They've got some brilliant players down there. Very good young manager as well. So it's a club that I followed when they got to the Scottish Junior Cup final a couple of years back. Well, it's more than a couple now. I followed them all the way through, so I have a wee bit of a liking for them. If anybody slips up, Musselburgh will be right there about it, I would imagine. And a club that's continues season after season to be really competitive at the top end of that division. So it'll not be long until they win it and push into that Lowland League, I would think.
Yeah, Haddington as well. Obviously, it'll be disappointing being ahead twice and then losing.
They will be, and it's obviously a big derby there. So East Lothian derby, but Haddington a wee bit same as Hutchie Vale. I think top half finish for them would be brilliant. They're motoring along nicely. They're a very competitive side, strong defensively. I think they'll be fine. Scott Bonner's doing a great job there.
Yeah, Dunbar United won 1-0 away to Pennycook Athletic. Paul, you take a bit of confidence for this, because I think that now leads us to 5 in a row where guests that have been on the show, their team have won the previous week, the weekend going on for that. So I would take a bit of a buzz for that. But that is a big result for Dunbar United. Obviously, Pennycook, not an easy place to go, and it still keeps them right in the mix.
Yes, Dunbar have been flying. Obviously the other teams that went up with them last season have toiled a wee bit. I think that's fair to say, and they're in the top 4. The thing with Dunbar, I think, is they're very settled. Hainsey's got them all settled. They never have huge upheaval. You didn't hear a great deal of problems. They just, they're competitive every week. Even when they didn't win, there's no lot in it. And they've won, I think, 11 of their 18 games. So
Yeah.
brilliant job that they've done doing their all the boys. And I watched the podcast last week. So I think they're doing a great job doing there. Again, similar. There's it's so competitive, because you could say that there's several of these teams that will be aiming for a top half finish. They can't all finish in that top half, which is how competitive it is.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. A team that's obviously going in the right direction as well are Hillabeath. Hawthorn, big result for them. They won 3-1 away to Dundonald Bluebell. It's their second straight away win. They beat Dunbar a few weeks ago as well. Jordan Tosh with a double. Hillabeath, I mean, they're giving it a go to try and get into that top half. There's obviously you look at the table, kind of 7th to 8th, there's a 7-point gap, but Hillabeath are right there, and they've obviously cut the gap on Dundonald to just a point.
Yes, and I don't know if it's just perception that I have of Hillabeath, but they seem to be slow starters, and then once they get motoring, they pick up results. A club that probably thinks they should be doing better than bottom half of that league, and it'll be interesting to see if they can continue that. And they've only played 16 games. There's a few teams above them maybe played more, so if they can keep wins and push up that division.
Yeah, absolutely. Final result in the Premier Division was another away victory, actually. Inverkeithing won 1-0 away to Tynecastle. Ryan Cowie with a goal. I would go out on a limb here and say I know that Crossgates and Glenrothes have games to make up on Inverkeithing, but they'll be delighted that they've kind of bridged out and put a wee gap between themselves and the kind of two teams in the that are kind of challenging them in the relegation.
Yes, we actually played Inverkeithing just before Christmas in a friendly and beat them, and they had a change in management team, and now, like you say, they're clear of the relegation zone. I think that's really tight, and it's pulled Tynecastle, who had an unbelievable start. They're now pulled right back down into that sort of battle and need to start picking up points again. That'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think, as I said, the three promoted teams from last year have got their work cut out. The others, I think, will have maybe enough to pull clear of that, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the first division. Obviously, the first game to touch on, Vale of Leiden 1, Newtongrange Star 6. 5 different goal scorers and an own goal for yourselves, obviously. Keeps that really impressive run going. Again, probably a win, you would imagine. I think that's your first away game since like the 4th of November in the league.
Yes.
So it's probably a good place to go. Obviously, Vale of Leiden, I'll touch on them in a second, but getting away victory and it just keeps that run going. You must have been thrilled with that result.
I was thrilled with the result. The performance wasn't the greatest, but I think we've all been in the game long enough. These games are never, on paper it looks like it should be easy, but Vale are fighting for their lives. They were, they lost. I think their last home game was Recife. They were 0-0 up until the 85th minute or something, and then lost it. So the conditions on Saturday were horrendous. It was really difficult just to even keep your feet walking on the pitch. But I said to the players, at half time, if we get a third, we'll go on and score a few, and we did. But credit to Vale, they were a lot better than probably people would give them credit for. And they never gave up. Even 5-6-1 late on in the game, they were still all in. So credit to them for that.
And kind of Vale of Leiden, how difficult was it? Obviously, they're 14 games, 14 defeats, but they have been a side who have just really struggled in the past few years. And how hard is it to kind of be motivated? And what was your kind of takeaways for them? Do you think they are a side that you're just hoping can get some sort of confidence builder? I know it's probably I think it's near enough impossible that they stay up, but any sort of positives they would take, wouldn't they, at this point?
They would. There was a lot of positive performances for some of their players on Saturday, and I didn't mean to sound condescending. I'm being genuine. There was, I thought they were decent. You look around the club room up there at what they've achieved in the past, and they've won a fair lot at East of Scotland level. So, but they are in decline. They've came down the leagues now for a while. I don't think they're too far away from settling. If they do go down next season, I think they'll be competitive in that league. And then it just takes a couple of results and a couple of signings to start rebuilding up the way. And I know Ian, the manager there, has been trying to attract a couple of players on loan or whatever. It's difficult for him, but he's trying his best. I'm sure they'll be fine once they go down and find their level and be competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they have got a really good fan base who are full credit to them for standing by them as well. Big game of the weekend was probably at Dunipace. Dunipace 4, Whitburn 2. A double from Sam Colley, who I seem to be writing about all the time, he seems to be one of the informed players in the league at the moment. But you obviously said earlier, Dunipace have been very good, but they have a lot of really, really impressive players on that side as well.
They do. The guy you mentioned, Colley, there, he was exceptional when I went through and watched him play in Camelin on the 30th. He's a brilliant player. I keep hoping somebody will come and buy him and take him out this division, but no, they've got some great players. Actually, our under-20s played against Dunipace's under-20s when they won the league. I think 2 seasons ago now, and there's a few of those names. Tristan McCaffrey and others. Martin France, I think, was part of that side. So they've got 3 or 4 of the boys who were in their 20s playing for them as well. So they have a real identity about them. They feel part of the club, and you can see there's a togetherness there. Like I said, I think it's very tight. But if you were pushing me to pick one of those teams, I would say Dunipace are probably favourites at the moment.
Yeah, they look really, really good as well. And I've seen a few of their goals. If you want anybody that's watching, if you want to see a few really good goals over the weekend, then check Dunipace's goals, because I thought they were very, very good. Camelin are another good side as well. Obviously, they're sitting in third at the moment. They won 3-0 at home to Blackburn. McElwee, Finlay and Dolan with the goals. And obviously Camelin, they've obviously invested a lot in the summer and they're looking to go up. And again, another good result for them, and their side will be challenging as well.
100%, yes, I agree with that. We've played them twice this season. We drew 0-0 in the Scottish Cup with them through there. And very good side, well organised, loads of goal threat, nice on the eye. And Blackburn is one of those teams that are always competitive. It's never an easy game. So a great win for them, especially bouncing back for obviously the disappointment of the defeat against Pace. Mm-hmm. So I expect him to be there right till the last. They'll be there or thereabouts right through.
Yeah, surprising result as well at St Andrews. St Andrews 0, Leeds Athletic 1. Martin Maughan scoring in return. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that I think they've got him on loan for Trinent, which I think could be a massive player to get for them. And he's obviously made an immediate impact.
Yes, he's a brilliant wee player. He's obviously, I think he's only there for a month, so hopefully he's away by the time we get them. Because he's a danger, he's a threat. He's full of pace and energy and running, and he's strong and he's a goal scorer. Leith obviously had points deducted, so technically should be mid-table. And we've still got to go down there to play them on the Astro. They knock the ball about well. I'm not sure that there's many shocks in this division, but certainly St Andrews at home had a perfect record, so credit to Leith for going there and winning.
Yeah, absolutely. Big result as well. Kirkcaldy and Dysart beat Rosyth 2-0 at home. Obviously, Kirkcaldy and Dysart moved to 2 points behind Rosyth with 3 games, having played 3 games less. Smith and Kinnaird with the goals. They always seem to do really well at home, Kirkcaldy.
Yes. We were up there not long ago, 1-0 up until the 94th minute and conceded. I think they beat Pace 4-1 there. They drew with Camelin. The 2 strikers up there, brilliant players. They work really well together. They have a real fight and spirit about them. They're very organised. So I'm not surprised to see them pushing up the league. I'm not going to lie, I'm delighted that we've played them twice and got that out of the way, because they will take points off of teams. Yeah,
they always seem to be the kind of team in that league that will go and that will be really hard to beat at home as well. So, yeah, Heriot Watt 2, Preston Athletic 3, Macintosh, Gillen and Sebasic with the goals for them. Preston, that moves them up to 8 there. They're sitting in 8th place. And again, they're another side. They've played 18 games. They're in 23 points. To go away, as you say, Heriot Watt kind of going under the radar as well. Maybe not as good as they were last season, but again, it's a big step up for them. But Preston sitting in 8th, they're just kind of doing their business nice as well.
Yes, I listened to the interview for their gaffer, and he said, they probably should be doing better. They're up to mid-table now, and again, another team we've played twice, so I'm quite pleased that they're getting a bit of form after we've had them and managed to get 6 points out of 6. Heriot Watt you never know with Heriot Watt, because they're a uni side. They've got players away with their Bucks side, and then they've got people with their studies who can't always make it. So it's difficult to know what to expect of them when they're at it. Heriot Watt, especially in the Astro, they can move the ball like very few other teams. The way they can play, so you just never know. There's a couple of goal scorers on that in that Preston side who were at Newtongrange in the recent past. So pleased to see them doing well and scoring goals as well.
Yep, absolutely. Whitehill 5, Arniston Rangers 1. Johnny Devers with a hat trick, Lewis Walker with a double, and that's looking now 9th place. Whitehill are in 18, Arniston are in 16 points. So they've obviously leapfrogged Arniston and probably jumped about 4 or 5 places with that result.
Yeah, we played Whitehill last week, and they were really at it last week. There was very little between the sides. So that just goes to show what a great result it was for us last week. Arniston have games in hand, and they'll be absolutely fine. Yeah. I don't see them being involved in that sort of relegation battle, and it'll be interesting to see between the two of those obviously close rivals geographically, who can come out on top on that battle to see who'll finish higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Locoa 3, Oakley United 1 was the final results. I don't have goal scorers for Locoa, but again, they'll just decide that any win down at the kind of side of that table now is important, and that's a big one.
It is. Core, they're a bit like Kirkcaldy. You didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
It's one of those places where they've got a brilliant sort of home record, very difficult to play against. We've got Oakley soon coming up in the league, so I was quite pleased to see they didn't win and only getting a wee bit of momentum because they had picked up results lately and they were kicking on a wee bit. But that bottom end of that table, Whitehill on 18 points and ninth all the way down to Oakley, I think that could change a lot between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, it certainly could. We'll move on to the second big game, really exciting game at Bo'ness Athletic. Chris Ogilvie scored a 93rd minute winner for Bo'ness Athletic as they won 4-3 against Stirling Uni. Archie Monroe scored a double for Stirling Uni. That's probably, again, keeps them 10 points there, Bo'ness Athletic. Obviously 15 wins for 16 games, but it wasn't easy.
Aye, it just shows you the quality they've got though. However they get it done, they win games. They're a team that will be challenging at the top of our Premier League, quickly. I would envisage they'll come into the First Division next year and be equally as strong. In a position of power this week, they've signed a couple of players, one for Broxbourne and one for our league, Rhys Duncan, who's a brilliant goal scoring midfielder. So even at the top of the division, having won a big game, they just keep strengthening. So they're on a great run, and they're a team probably up amongst the sort of 4 or 5 best in the East of Scotland League, I think.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Armadale, they keep going as well. They're sitting in second, 4-0 home win over Edinburgh College. Cammy Jackson with a double for them. And again, Armadale, they're not sitting first, but I would be very surprised if they don't finish best of the rest.
Yep, and another side that I think will keep going up the way. Traditionally, growing up, Armadale was a place I visited with Bonnie Grows. I used to follow Bonnie as a youngster. A big club, and they'll continue to push up. I would see them finishing second, and I think that makes it even more important for the clubs in the First Division to get out this season because some of these clubs, these teams going up are quality, and they'll be right there or thereabouts next season.
Yep, absolutely. Thornton Hibs are up to third. They won 6-1 at home to Newborough. Gary Thompson with a double for them. And Thornton Hibs, they've got the games. They've got 4 games in hand in Armadale, and they're a side that, just with the way the top two have taken it apart, they've just been slowly climbing the table, and they're a side that are challenging as well.
I was quite surprised when I was looking at it that they were up to third. They've got real momentum behind them, so momentum's important in the game. It would be interesting to see if they get the wins together to go and push above Armadale. Good luck to them because they obviously have limited resources and are doing a great job down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Dalkeith Thistle 1-2-1 away to Edinburgh United. They're keeping going as well. They're in 4th place. Dalkeith as well. They're probably a side kind of similar to last season. Probably falling victim to the fact that these kind of sides are just kind of progressing up the leagues, but they're capable as well, aren't they?
They are. I know a few people at Dalkeith. One of my ex-players is there. I think they're doing probably better than people expected. Up into 4th at the moment, and I have one of our players who's on loan at Edinburgh United. They've had a change of manager down there, a wee bit of uncertainty, and they're looking to now steady the ship and kick on a wee bit. So good luck to them. I hope they do well.
Yep, absolutely. Other 2 results now, like Peebles Rovers 1, Tweedmouth Rangers 1, and Kennaway Star Hearts 0, Burnt Island 0. Peebles sit in 12th, Tweedmouth are 13th. You've got Kennaway are sitting in 10th and Burnt Island in 11th. So that it's kind of nicely that obviously kind of results you wouldn't have been overly surprised to see 2 draws in their games, would you?
No, and it's really tight between the teams down there. I know Peebles have just had a change of manager as well. They took a heavier defeat earlier. It was last week, the week before. So a change of management. It's a wee club that I've always been fond of for some reason. I don't know why. Peebles. So I hope they're all right. but if looking at that league table, I know Edinburgh South have got plenty of games in hand. We played them in a friendly Edinburgh South, and they were very good actually. But Coldstream on 21 points right down to Peebles on 18. That's really tight in that division. So again, I think every division in the East of Scotland League is super competitive now. It's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. 3rd division, we'll just run through that. Bathgate were held 1-1 away to Pumferson. Ryan Wilson with a goal for Bathgate, Kieran Sweeney scoring for Pumferson. Bathgate, obviously, results kind of went their way to a degree because they still are 4 points clear at the top.
Yeah, and another club that probably feel they should be higher up the divisions. Again, another club that I used to go and watch regularly as a youngster. It would be great to see, like say, Bathgate pushing up and getting up the leagues. I think Plumferston have improved hugely from what I recall. They were, generally speaking, towards the bottom of the division that whenever I've seen. So up and giving themselves a chance of maybe getting that third place, which is a bonus for them.
Yep, absolutely. West Calder 1, Fauldhouse United 0. Stonyburn beating Harthill Royal 1-0 as well. Josh Thompson scored for Stonyburn and Craig Johnson was on target for West Calder. Kind of changes. West Calder obviously moved to a point behind Harthill in second and have 2 games in hand. So that's probably a massive. They'll look at it as a massive weekend.
Yep, West Calder are a very good side. We played them early in the season, lost, and I was impressed with them, to be honest. I thought they had a bit of everything they could play, but they were physical when needed. They were defensively strong. They only conceded 12 goals in their 13 games in that division. It wouldn't surprise me to see them going and win it, I think. But again, competitive, that could go anyway up there. And it's nice, I noticed there Hoyk in 4th place. What a turnaround for them. Brilliant for them to be up the other end of the table for a change.
Yeah, obviously it could go. The kind of top 4 in that league is very interesting. Hoyk were held by Lochgelly 2-2 at Lochgelly on Saturday. Milne and Scoltes with the goals for Hoyk, and Woods and Malin the score sheet for Lochgelly. Edinburgh Community 1-1 away to Livingston United puts Edinburgh Community up to 7th in the league. Jason Howe a double for them, and again big result. Livingston United obviously aren't in the best of form, but an away win and 2 goals for your strikers always a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Striker scoring is important. I've always said that to mind. So it's interesting. Edinburgh Community obviously a bit of change, and I think there was some concern at various points in the last few years for the old Craig Royston side and whatever. So it's good to see them being competitive and getting results and staying in the game. Yeah.
Absolutely, but obviously a very busy weekend that we had in the league. It's not as busy this weekend in terms of league action. There's a lot of cup action going on as well. Challenge Cup, there's some games. Kennedy Star plays St Andrews, Dunbar United obviously play Cumbernauld Colts. There's some qualifying cup action. Newtongrange Star play Coldstream in the second round of the King Cup. How important is that game, obviously, to go on a cup run? Because it always for the fans, isn't it?
It takes the pressure off for another week because I think the teams at the top end of our league are all in the same boat where if you lose that you're likely to lose ground to not just one but 2 or 3 others. So it would be nice to focus on something different for a week. I expect them to be really competitive again on our team with a change in management and playing squads maybe turned over a wee bit. So I think it'll be another one of those games where there'll not be a lot in it, but as a club, Newtongrange haven't done well in cups for too long now, and we need to do better. So, for our point of view, we'll be trying to go as far in this tournament as we can, as will every other club in it. I looked at the teams today. I think everybody's hoping to avoid Bo'ness and then see if it goes for their home draw in the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be very interesting as well. And then returning to league action on the 27th of January away to Oakley United. So again, big game there. Some interesting games that weekend actually. Done place St Andrews. So how important is it to get your business done? And do you think about, like, even at this stage of the season, do you think about results elsewhere, or is it just full focus on getting your own job done?
I do. I've not discussed them with the players or anybody else, but I've got a sort of ongoing. It's a spreadsheet actually of who's due to play who and the sort of average points per game and home and away. So I try to keep track of that. But certainly from the players' point of view and as a club, the focus is just solely on the next one. So like I say, we've got Coldstream this week. That's a huge game for both clubs. Both clubs will be thinking if they progress to the next round, they've got a chance to do something. So we'll focus on that. But in terms of the league, I think, like I said earlier, Oakley have had some better results lately, and we just need to get our business done, and then check the results quarter to 5 and see what else has happened, and hope for that one of them have slipped up.
Yeah, well, it's obviously going to be a very interesting kind of run to the season. Paul, I wish you all the very best with it, and I can't thank you enough for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much for having me, mate. It's been great. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in, folks. If you want more East of Scotland football content, then subscribe to our Patreon channel. We'll have some special exclusive content coming up over the next few days. And as always, subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. Thanks very much, folks. We'll see you soon.